Well, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. You can like, share, subscribe. But before that, I am sure you're super excited about this episode. It's because I'm very excited to have the man that I have with me today. Well, he's an inspiration to a lot of budding young anchors, journalists, you name it, because he's a sports journalist, a sports historian, a writer. But even more so, he's a Rhodes Scholar and also, since 2003, a visiting lecturer at the University of Chicago. So clearly he has more hours in a day than any one of us because he's been doing so many things that we'll have to ask him how does he manage it in 24 hours. Boria, welcome to the show. I have to tell everybody that I was working with Boria during the pandemic on Sports Today. And that time Boria inspired me to join the 5 a.m. club. I just have to say that I'm still getting inspired, not yet in the 5 a.m. club, but trying my best. How's life been, Boria?
Life's very good. Life's very good. God is kind. Rev Sports has sort of taken off like anything, doing multi-sport, trying to disrupt the sporting ecosystem. But more importantly, I've got to say this. I was very, very impressed seeing you do multi-sport. I follow your work. I've seen you evolve as a presenter, as somebody who follows sport with passion. I've seen some of your shows, and I'm very, very pleased that you've done what you've done. So good to be here. But as far as I'm concerned, can't be better. I mean, life is good. God is kind. We now have a team of about 35 odd people in Rev Sports. So bigger the better, going from strength to strength.
Perfect. I'm going to take some tips from you how to launch a successful YouTube channel after the show. But right now, we've got lot more things to discuss is because we share a common passion for sports. You have been there since, the thing is that you're actually very young, but it just from the experience, it comes across that you've been there for ages because I was surprised. I mean, everybody would be surprised that you're actually very, very young. But, I think when you talk about how do we see the growth of sports, a decade-long comparison is a great way to go about it. So today, everybody, we're not just discussing cricket, we're discussing football, we're talking about track and field and also the various, everything else that is happening in sports. So instead of talking with cricket, we'll start with football, Boria. So first of all, today is the 25th of July. Today, the verdict on the fact that whether the Indian football team would go to the Asian Games was going to come. I'm not sure if it's come yet or no, but what is your take on that?
It has not yet come, but I've not said this yet even on my own platform. I'm telling you this. There was a meeting yesterday where the AIFF made a presentation. The president was there, the general secretary was there, the coach joined in from Croatia where he made a very strong presentation on why the team should be sent. This is what happened yesterday, and I know for a fact that there have been meetings in Delhi today. Tomorrow is the last date for the withdrawal of names that have already been sent by the Indian Olympic Association because day after is the draw. If you ask me, I'm extremely hopeful based on what I know has transpired yesterday and today, but we don't have a formal confirmation yet. Apart from that, we know what the team is, we know what happened yesterday, we know there is significant lobbying going on and back channel negotiations on. So if you ask me hand on heart, are you hopeful? Yes, I am.
Yep, fingers crossed. Also, Boria, just a word on Indian football with the way it has progressed in the last decade is because ISL is going to complete 10 years. So first of all, the contribution of ISL to Indian football. And second of all, are you proud of the way the boys now turn out going ahead with not a mindset of, competing against better teams, but wanting to win it?
2 points here. One, the ISL has made a significant contribution to Indian football. In what way? 1, 2, 3. One, look at the kind of money that Indian footballers are now getting. Okay. Yes, apart from cricketers, they're right up there. People are getting salaries in crores, which was unthinkable some time ago. Number two, look at what happened after the SAF Cup win, and you will know that the whole country gets united behind football. Your own videos have clocked significant numbers. You're coming to football, starting to sort of talk about football. Lot many more people are like you talking about football, and there is real passion. Number three, what the IPL has done, it has sort of broken the order of foreign footballers. When you're getting to play with people like Korominas, when you're getting to play with Miku, when you're getting to play with so many international players who can walk into any Asian side, in fact, not Asian, even a global side, automatically your players tend to get better. That's a logical thing that happens, and it has happened. So the standard of football, the standard of broadcast, the way football is received as a brand has become better. But now, we are on a cusp. Because at one level, at the ISL is a kind of a closed league, right? It doesn't allow, because our best play there, so our best don't really go out of India and ply their trade. That's number one. Number two, and because of the ISL, and this is a very, very important point which Coach T-Match keeps making, and I think Sunil made somewhere, I was reading somewhere perhaps, and he alluded to in my own interview, is we need a bigger window for the national. Now, how do you do that? There are only two ways to do that. One, you extend the ISL from March to May. Now, if you want to do that, you clearly clash with the IPL. That's the problem. But can the IPL get dented by the ISL? No. So why don't you do that? Because in most European countries, if you see, you will see the league extends till May. Correct? So you want your national players to have more time together. Look at Japan. Look at Iran. Look at Saudi Arabia. And you will know what I'm talking about. These national teams spend 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and not just during the FIFA window. If your national team has to get better, your only option is try and extend your camps bigger than the FIFA window. That can happen provided the clubs leave players in the middle of the ISL, or you stop the ISL for a period and then stretch it to April, May and allow the national camp to happen. So I think Indian football is on a cusp. We have tremendous momentum going. You mentioned the win, but at this point in time, some real important calls need to be taken by the brains that govern Indian football.
Correct. Now, so far we've seen some improvement. We've seen India win the Hero Intercontinental Cup and the SAF, and now we're going to the Asian Cup. What do you spare our chances? I was talking to Nilanjan Da, and he said, let's first reach the semis.
Of the Asian Cup? Look, Doha will be a huge test for India. You're talking about top teams. You're talking about higher ranked teams. So when Sunil tells me, look, how do we improve? We've got to improve only by playing against higher ranked teams. And his point is well taken. That is the progress graph of a Japan or an Iran or a Saudi Arabia. Am I very hopeful about the Asian Cup? Unless and until you have a long national camp where your team gets to really spend time together, my answer is no. So even at the cost of sounding negative, you have to allow the coach to spend more time with your national team players. Yes, you have achieved proper fitness, 120 minutes, your team is ready to play football and not get tired. That's fabulous. But is there scope for more improvement? Absolutely yes. And a reversal in the Asian Cup will mean that all of us will say, nah, this whole SAF Cup was a fluke and you only beat Kuwait and Lebanon and what is this? So, let's put it in perspective. And the truth is, your team needs more time to be able to do a semi-final or whatever you're talking about in the Asian Cup in Doha. As on date, unless that happens in terms of a longer camp, I am doubtful. I am not going to say it won't happen. You might still see the players, punching above their weight and being competitive. But it is difficult even on them to do a 1 week camp or whatever during a FIFA window and go and excel. That's slightly asking slightly too much of them. So, as I said, we are on the cusp. Please allow the players to have this national camp with the coach if, as India, you want to improve in football.
Perfect. Now, before we move to cricket, one last thing. In terms of football, in the next decade, where do you see or where do you want to see Indian football?
You asked me a very interesting one. The women's team, easier route. If you really invest in women's football and you go and speak to Aditi Chauhan, who I strongly recommend you should as part of your show, it can be a fast track growth because there is serious talent. Get the people who are outside, get the Dalima Chibars of the world to come in, get the Manisha Kalyans to be part of your setup on a regular basis, get an Aditi Chauhan to inspire. Because these are real good players. Coming to the men, it's a tougher route, but now we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel. There's hope. You see a Ranjit Bajaj, you see a Gothia Cup, and all of a sudden okay, there is possibility. If you can do it at the young stage, at the youth stage, then why not the senior team? You've seen that your players are fit enough. Kuwait and Lebanon were getting tired. Your players weren't. Igor Stimac is a top-notch coach. He had a chat with Luka Modric on the Indian model, and both of them discussed a longer national camp. So clearly, you now have international stars who can get interested in Indian football. So if you ask me, proper planning, proper structure, and I emphasize on the word proper planning, proper structure, a decade from now, India can be Asia's top 5, top 6. But if you don't allow, the recommendations made by the coach, and there is a very interesting presentation that he has done, if we don't allow that, and again, the coach is changed or things don't go things don't go to plan, our football might take a backward step. None of us want that.
All right, so that's Indian football. Let's shift gears to India's beloved sport, cricket. And talking about cricket, Boria, how do you judge the last 10 years of cricket for India and our luck with ICC trophies?
I don't think it's luck. I think it's at one level a lack of proper planning. At another level, we've been inability to take pressure for big occasions. You've asked me a decade. 2013 was the last time we won an ICC trophy. After that, 2014, that Bangladesh final, we lost. 2016, that fantastic World T20, maybe had it not been due in Mumbai, we could have perhaps gone. It was Virat's tournament, played the best that I've ever seen in play. 17 Champions Trophy, wrong call. Wrong call to send Pakistan in, and that no ball and that Fakhar Zaman 100 killed us. 2019, had it not been that rain, delay, maybe. But then again, chasing 240, you should have won. Trent Bolt, that one spell killed you. 2021, World Test Championship, 2022 World Test, the World T20, and finally this year. There is a common pattern. You get to the final, you choke. You get to the final, you make mistakes that perhaps you should not. Like this year's World T20, World Test Championship. All of us know, in hindsight, that the Ashwin call was a wrong call. We know that India played to weather. That first morning, I was there. I was in England for a month, and it was hot in England. Believe me, there was no rain. So one could actually predict that despite the cloud cover, things might just be different. So we played for only that first day. And if you see the pattern, let me make this point, Ridhima. One, if the World Test Championship final stays on in England, your team will never be well, because you will inevitably go within 1 week of the IPL. Now, India controls world cricket, right? You control world cricket, you've got 38% of the revenue. And that's fantastic, by the way. But I would want the BCCI to exert more pressure and get the one-off match shifted to September. Get the one-off match preponed to March. Move the World Test Championship out of England to Sri Lanka, to Bangladesh, to India, to somewhere else. But the fact is, if you play England and if you play 1 week of the IPL, after 2 months of T20 cricket, your team does not have one first-class game, within 7 days goes into a test match against an Australian side or a New Zealand side, New Zealand who played 2 test matches in England, and Australia, who obviously know better of the conditions, you will never be well prepared. Never. I was chatting with Ian Bishop day before yesterday, and he made the same point, and I was laughing because I had written a similar column during the WTC, and I make this point very strongly on you. You want to be best prepared. You want to give your players a level playing field, the Virats of the world, the Rohits of the world. Either change the timing or you can't change IPL because that's sacrosanct at this point in time. Lots of money riding, commerce, brand, etc., etc. So the BCCI, if they can, should lobby the ICC and push it back to September or prepone it to March. That's what will give the Indian teams the best preparation. Otherwise, it's a problem. Finals, there is an issue. Accept the issue. Because otherwise, you can't just keep losing semi-finals and finals. And come on, we are talking about a sport where 5 teams play at that level. You don't win a final. You have the world's greatest fandom. You have the world's premier tournament in the IPL. You control 70% of the revenues, yet you don't win an ICC tournament. How is that? You can have the greatest star in Kohli. You can have the greatest brand in Rohit, but you don't win finals. Unless a Leo Messi won a World Cup. Come on, we are playing team sport. We are playing team sport. I'm sorry, but the truth is, in team sport, you've got to have that trophy. I'll give you a Tendulkar story. Tendulkar, when he came back from the 2003 World Cup, 673 runs. All of us know what he did. He got that gold bat as the man of the tournament from Sir Garfield Sobers. He put that gold bat in his luggage and came back to India. And when he landed, his friends were like, "Where's the gold bat? Where's the man of the tournament bat?" He's like, what gold bat? He said, "No, you've got the gold bat as man of the tournament." He said, "Look, the real gold bat or real gold thing is in the Australian dressing room. I don't care for the gold bat. I don't care what I want." Now, that's what it is about. Ask Rohit Sharma. And Rohit told me this. I asked him 2019, 500s. Brilliant. He said, "Dada, क्यों बोल रहे हो यार? 500s, ultimately, जो जीतना था वो तो दूसरा ड्रेसिंग रूम में है, ये 500 से होगा क्या?" So Rohit also knows, as does Rahul Dravid. I think the October-November World Cup is the most important tournament that India has played in a long, long time. If they win it, our cricket is back. If they don't, then we've lost a premium opportunity because 11 home team, 15 home team, 19 home team, this is our greatest chance. You don't win this one, then you're seriously starting to doubt what is going on. Because you've got to win an ICC tournament, however many IPLs you might win. You've got to win an ICC tournament to be the best in the world.
So what does your gut say about the 2023 World Cup in India? How deep will India go?
We have a chance. We have a huge chance on home soil. Having said that, is Jasprit going to be fit finally? From what we know, he's on the cusp. But can he take the intensity and the pressure and the strain of multiple matches on the trot? Question one. How fit is KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer? Will India be able to field a team that is actually India's ace team? Because it will also depend on fitness. At this point in time, if you ask me, is India the world's number one ODI team? No, England is. And as defending champions, they will be good. Australia will be good. They've beaten you. Australia has beaten you on home soil, right? So Australia, England, New Zealand, always a threat. Pakistan is a very good side. So is India a runaway favorite? No. Having said that, you do have the team. But the question is, you will need a Jasprit Bumrah. Who's your death bowler? If I ask you this question sitting in July, who's your death bowler? Mohammad Shami? Yes, who else? Mohammad Siraj? Can the two of them do what a Jasprit Bumrah does at the death? Maybe not. Who's your leggy? Will you get a Yuzvendra Chahal? Has he had the same kind of impact? You've tried a Kuldeep Yadav, you've dropped a Yuzvendra Chahal. A leg spinner always has premium impact. You dropped him during the World T20 in Australia. So I don't see this Indian side at this point in time, at least, being the favorite. I don't. And that's my worry. That if India does not win this one, which one does India win? And I hope we will get correctives in place, and I hope all these gaps will be filled and we will mount a strong challenge.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Now, since we're on updates for cricket, Boria, do you have any update on Rishabh Pant?
I had a chat with Saurav Ganguly, who is the sort of and that was yesterday in his house. We were socially meeting, and I asked him what's going on with Rishabh. He says his recovery is back on track, and that he is extremely hopeful that Rishabh will play IPL 24. Of course, not the World Cup, of course, not the end of the year, but Saurav Ganguly, and it was an entirely social conversation. No cricket news conversation. We were just sitting and having a Bengali adda, and he told me he expects Rishabh to play IPL 24. So you asked me, that's what I did.
Okay. Now, again, since we're talking cricket, there has been a recent controversy of Harmanpreet Kaur's reaction against Bangladesh team. Now, suddenly the Twitter has gone against her. A lot of former Indian cricketers have said that her behavior was not apt, and she should be charged with a penalty and action should be taken. What's your take on that, and what is the complete story there?
Okay, firstly, all of us know that Harman has been suspended for 2 matches, or rather banned for 2 matches by the ICC. That the verdict has come. On the day that this happened, Ridhima, I put out a video and I wrote a piece saying she should be penalized. Because for me, Harman is a leader, and a leader should act like a leader. She did not. No one should act with a sense of entitlement. That's what she did. Umpires making mistakes has always happened. Talk to Mr. Gavaskar, who I know you've done multiple shows with. Go and talk to him about what happened in Pakistan in the 70s and 80s, and he'll laugh. Go talk to Sachin Tendulkar. And Sachin and Steve Bucknor is folktale. I mean, body before wicket and head before wicket and whatever it is. So for a captain who aspires to be cult, and Harman is a legend, there are many in India who aspire to be a Harmanpreet Kaur, to stand there and break the wicket was not befitting. So the 2-match ban, I support it. I've just written a piece which has gone up on our website saying fair call by the ICC. It is not about the star, it is about the sport. The institution of the sport, it is a temple, and no one is bigger than that institution. Very fair call by the ICC in terms of handing a 2-match ban. Also good on the part of the BCCI that they did not lobby on behalf of their star and allowed the ICC to do what they did. So I'm very clear. Harman will learn her lesson. This is a clear thing that she's not bigger than the sport. She's made a mistake. I think she'll come back stronger. But from the standpoint of Indian cricket, it was bad. You asked me what happened there. I've actually spoken to many in Bangladesh, and I thought Nigar Sultana Jyoti conducted herself with a lot of poise, with a lot of dignity. She did not open her mouth in the press conference. What was she told? Possibly the fact that Harman did not want to get herself clicked with the Bangladesh players and the Indians, and said, get the umpires there. If that is exactly what was told, which is what I've been told by many in Bangladesh, that was extremely unfortunate and not the comment that I would want my leader to make. So I thought Jyoti, by not saying this in the press conference, conducted herself with a lot of poise. Credit to her. I think Harman will get stronger and better because of the two-match ban. Had she gotten away with it, it would have set a wrong example. So well done to the ICC. Anyone aspiring to be a future Harman knows that a line has to be drawn. Nobody is bigger than the sport, not even Harman.
Yeah. Here's hoping that she comes back stronger. And now moving away from cricket and let's move towards the multidisciplinary sports is because India has been doing really well in athletics. And I mean, I did the Asian Games, and the first time I ever saw a track and field game was in the 2018 Asian Games live, is what I mean, when I was on the field. And I fell in love. In fact, I have a story around that. It was a 100-meter race. I remember Dutee Chand was participating in it, and there was a Jamaican racer there, and she had really long blonde hair, and she was going to get to the racetrack, and I was a little new to the sport, and I told my producer, with that weight on her hair, how is she going to make it? I thought that you have to be really lightweight to be able to, I mean, you have to take care of everything. The next thing I know that she's the first person, she gets the gold. And as she went past me, she looked like a horse with, fire coming out of her hair. That was my first instance where I fell in love with track and field. But in general, India at the Asian Athletic Championships very recently, where it has got the highest medal tally, it has been doing brilliantly. Your take on what is AFI doing right, which the other federations are not? And who has been the torchbearer of this change?
Very good question, Ridhima. I'm actually glad you asked me this, because federations are, soft targets in India and get bashed. But the work that Adil Sumariwala and his team, Adil, Anju Bobby George, and the team has done as AFI is fabulous. If you look at their junior programs, if you look at their junior camps, if you look at, and that is the supply. You ask me what they are doing right. They are doing the grassroots right. They are doing the camps right. That's what they are doing right. Their supply line is strong. Their foundation has become strong. Otherwise, think of Neeraj Chopra. He was actually fourth in that 2017 championships, rather before that, from where he was picked. I mean, it is an eye for talent also that the AFI showed. Think of a Murli Sri Shankar, who's now competing in the Diamond League, whether it's a Jazmin Aldrin, whether it's an Abdullah Abu Bakar, whether it's Avinash Sable. When have you seen so many Indian athletes compete at the Diamond League regularly? I haven't. In my 25, 30 years of covering sport, I haven't. So for the first time, I'm seeing that. There is a structure now at the AFI. And credit to Adil and his team. My only issue with Indian athletics at this point is the dope issue, because Murli Sri Shankar on my show said the other day that, sir, at the junior level, the whole talk is about doping and, the performance-enhancing drugs, and that scares me. So I hope NADA and, in combination with WADA, they are much more stringent, and every dope cheat needs to be caught. More and more tests are the only answer to catch more and more dope cheats. But otherwise, if you look at Indian athletics, and I'm extremely hopeful for the Asian Games, extremely. I love a Jyoti Yaraj. I mean, come on, 12.98 in that Asian Athletics Championship during the prelims, and then final 13.09 under rain. Top star. I was in Odisha doing a series, and young athletes like a Sabita, they are telling me that Amlan will actually break the 10-second barrier one day. I am waiting for that. Jyoti Yaraji, top star. Avinash Sable, very good. Murli Sri Shankar, 8.41. I thought that 8.37 was actually an 8.5 jump. Has a chance in Paris. And finally, it's Neeraj Chopra. Neeraj Chopra's gold in Tokyo, and we were working together at that point. Neeraj's gold has changed everything. It has given us confidence. It now tells us we can do it. He's a once-in-a-generation athlete. Look at the commitment and the passion that Neeraj Chopra has shown. Most importantly, the consistency. And he has completely redefined everything. I think that if Neeraj Chopra wins a medal in Paris, which at this point in time is a very, very strong likelihood, he will become India's greatest ever athlete. And I keep in mind that Tendulkar, who's my own heroes and my best friend. I keep in mind Abhinav Bindra, who's extremely close to me. I keep in mind Sindhu. I keep in mind Dhyan Chand. I keep in mind everybody. But if you win an athletics gold and follow it up with another big medal in Paris, I think Neeraj Chopra will be India's greatest athlete. And he and I have discussed this. And he said to me, sir, mat bolo, abhi to mujhe bahut kuch karna hai. क्यों आप 24 के बारे में बोल रहे हो, 28 के बारे में भी बोलो. And that is what makes Neeraj Chopra different. So there's a lot that is going on in the AFI, and I think Adil Sumariwala and his team deserves a lot of credit.
Indeed. So for the Asian Games 2023, who are your medal prospects?
Oh, a lot. I mean, I don't agree with the number that is being shown as part of a promo, 100. I don't think that is a realistic number. I think a realistic number is anywhere between 60 and 65. On a higher side, 65 to 70. That's actually an optimistic estimate. 60 to 65 is a realistic estimate. 100, if that happens, I can tell you, that will be a miracle. You and I should celebrate for 10 days on the trot with Bengali Mishti, if that happens. But medal winners, lots. I mean, the usual ones. Neeraj Chopra, Avinash Sable, Murli Sri Shankar. Athletics will get you the maximum number of medals. Even your relay teams, they are doing extremely well. I want to see what TJ does because I'm really keen on Tejaswin Shankar in the decathlon. Coming to boxing, our poster girl, Nikhat Zareen. Nikhat will, I'm actually banking on her for Paris also. If I see shooting, I'm extremely keen to see how Rudransh Patil does against the Chinese in Hangzhou. Because if there is one shooter who I'm banking on for Paris 2024, that's Rudransh Patil. There are many others, Vidya Hazarika, Ramita, Ridhim Sangwan, Mehuli Ghosh, who are all extremely good. So our shooting team will face a lot of competition in China, but it will also be a kind of a mirror as to where we are for Paris. So I do expect a number of medals coming from shooting. I'm hopeful of the men's hockey team for sure. They are as good as it can get, and so possibly we should expect boxing. Among the men, there are a lot of young talented boxers coming up. Deepak Boria in the 51 kilograms is an example. Wrestling, I think Bajrang and Vinesh, if they do go, will be under the maximum pressure they've ever faced. But Aman Sherawat in the 57 kilos, according to me, is India's next big wrestling star. So in that Ravi Dahiya category, it's Aman who is now the Asian silver medalist. Aman is one you should keep an eye on. I've given you most of the sports. Keep an eye on Bhavani Devi. Keep an eye on some of these athletes. Keep an eye on. Unfortunately, the taekwondo story is a bit of a mess there. The equestrian story is a bit of a mess. But otherwise, these are, of course, your cricket teams will win. Whether it's Harman playing or not playing, both your cricket teams are expected to win medals. Yeah. So this is where I but the total number, 60 to 65 realistic, 65 and above optimistic.
All right. Well, Boria, before I let you go, in the last, because we were talking about, all the updates in sports, and we also started with the decade that has been in sports. Since you closely interact with some of the top athletes in the country and in the world, I'd say, in the last decade, which athlete across sports has impressed you the most? And you would urge the youth to follow that athlete is because that man or woman has the right temperament to truly be a youth icon.
Actually, I will not even take more than a second, and it's Abhinav Bindra. Abhinav is the most, how do I put it? He is the ideal athlete as far as I'm concerned. The one thing that stays with me is sport teaches you how to lose, and that's what it does. It teaches you how to lose. It teaches you how to get better. It teaches you how to come back again. In Abhinav's case, he's fought epilepsy and done Rio. In Abhinav's case, look at the work he's now doing. 150,000 kids in Odisha as part of the Olympic Value Education Program. Mixed gender teams, Ridhima. Go do Odisha. For me, go try and do a show with the OVEP kids in Odisha. Tell Abhinav, I've said this. You will love it. Mixed gender, underprivileged, tribal kids now talking in English, playing football and hockey and stuff together. That is what sport does. It empowers. So the legacy that Abhinav Bindra is leaving behind, I think he's a once-in-a-generation athlete, and India is blessed to have.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Boria. I promised you 30 minutes. We've wrapped up in about 27. And I have to tell you, I love this interview because it is so crisp, so to the point, and at the same time, it's got everything that a sports fan wants to know. So thank you again for doing this.
Pleasure. And as I said, anybody who's watching her show, she's evolved as an anchor. She's evolved as a presenter and someone who I love interacting with. Not the Ridhima of 3 years back. A multi-sporting person is very rare in India. Watch her shows and back her in every way that you can.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Boria. And the last time I met you in person was in 2019. Hopefully I'll see you face to face very, very soon.
Come to the Asian Games. Come to the Asian Games. Come to Paris. We will catch up because it's time we see each other in China and have some Oriental food together.
100%. All right. All the best, Boria. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Fuck